Hey fellows, VK here, hope you are still having a great time. I sure do, because I can create videos for you guys. Today I'm gonna talk about something a lot of people do nowadays in their videos. Or rather in the beginning of them. I'm talking about intros. The point of intros are actually really important. If you're having a really good and representative intro for your videos, that raises your audience's interest to a whole new level, trust me. So today I'm gonna show you what kind of intros a lot of beginners get and how we can fix it to a greater intro. This tutorial will probably be a touch longer than my other tutorials because we got a lot to cover. This is a great tutorial for those who are getting started with After Effects. You will learn a whole bunch from this video. Also, those guys who are a bit more familiar with the program can learn some new techniques and maybe get some own ideas for their project. There's like a million ways to make an intro, but here I'm gonna show you techniques to improve on your intros, teaching you to think outside the box. So let's dive in, shall we? Okay guys, so now when we are in After Effects, I will show you here, as you saw in looping in the beginning, and a real simple introduction intro video. And I see this kind of intros a lot in videos on YouTube who are from beginners, and I think this is real sad because they're not interesting, they're not representative in any ways, they're just black and white or blue and yellow. You get my point. Real simple animations, and that's not waking up my interest. So, and yeah, so this sucks, but I'm gonna show you here. I will show you how an intro should look like for an example. In my opinion, when you're having here an illustration of your channel, that's just my example text, but having this kind of illustration is really informative. It tells you that you are a really good YouTuber. If you don't believe me, try this out and maybe it will help you. So yeah, so let's recreate this intro, what you have been seeing here for a while. So we got a nice smooth pop-up, and then it flies through the camera and gets nice backgrounds and nice illustration and whatnot. So let's go ahead and recreate this intro. So what we can do for the first, create a new composition. So we can create here on the new composition button, and I can call it just intro tutorial, and keep it 25 frames per second, 1920 by 1080. It's a good format. Click OK. Then let's make a background. There's a lot of ways to have a background. For example, a plain color as black or white or blue or yellow. You get my points. You can have a gradient from, a gradient from a blue to a darker blue, and got this smooth transition between the colors, which looks pretty cool. It's real plain and simple. You can have images, what I will be showing, or videos itself, and that's pretty cool if you can experiment it and get it to look cool. So I will be using this mountains fantasy image I found online. I can go ahead and I just drag and dropped it because we had already created a composition, and select it, hit enter, and I can call it just BG. Keep things organized. I recommend to organize your clips and changing the names. Saves you a lot of time. Then let's go ahead and create this logo illustration. So what I go ahead, I need to create two separate text. So I can hit the Command T button shortcut to get the text tool, or just click it here, and I will use the font Urban Jungle, and I will provide that font download link in the description, so you can go ahead and get it for free. And we type in your, like this, mark it up, and let's size it up a bit so we get a nice text like right there, and hit Command Enter, and you can see here's the anchor point. It doesn't really matter, but hitting the Y key so we can move it about in the middle. It's just not confusing us so much. Let's put it in the center for now. I will show you how to align everything later on. So what you then do is we create another text. So, but this time I will use a different font. So that's a real good thing to keep in mind when you're doing motion graphics or other kind of stuff. It looks a lot more interesting if you're using many different types of fonts and text types, if you know what I mean. This time we'll use the font Lobster 1.4. Oh, sorry, my bad. This wrong text. That like this. Like this. And now let's hit channel. And let's change the font to Lobster 1.4. As said, I will provide this download link or this font down below. If you don't have it, you can get it for free, so you can do your own kind of illustration with this. It's a really good font. I use it all the time. Let's make it a bit smaller. I don't want it to be that big. This is good. Change the cursor. Let's position it around here. I like the kind of the proportions. If you get two words, one is bigger but it's fewer characters, then and the second word is like this. I really like to experiment, but you need, as said, experiment with the placement of this kind of texts. So let's put it right there. Then let's make, as in the original example, I got this middle line which is separating it, so I want that once more. So I go ahead and take my rectangle tool, and if I now just go ahead and make a box, no, sorry, I'm making a mask here, my bad. I'm so tired, I'm so sorry, don't hate me of this. Yeah, don't select anything, and then when you're doing, it's working like this. Sorry, my bad. So tired. But don't bother. Like this. Fixed. And now hit the V key for your cursor, or going here up, and zoom in with your scroll wheel, so we can make it a touch thinner. Let's position it a bit more in the center. That's good. Okay, so now we have our line. You can select it and hit the shift down key and a bit up, so using the arrow keys here to place it a bit closer, like this. That's pretty cool. And let's put our channel right there. Okay, then let's make the two stars I was using. So go for the rectangle tool once more, but click and hold and go down to star tool. Then drag a star like this. And then we go ahead and click on the cursor tool and place it around there next to it. Hit Command D or Control D on if you're a PC or Mac to duplicate it and put the next one. You can hold the shift key to get the same level of height as the first star. Then you have to click and then you can release. Okay, let's put a bit to sign like this, using the arrow keys, well, as said, like this. And I could actually go ahead and take the scale down to 80%. Yeah, let's take for the other one too. So I'm just hitting the S key for the scale properties and changing the scale to 80. Then I select one of them and let's position it once more. Let's take the next one like this. Okay, it's pretty okay. I like this. Now it looks pretty cool. So now when you have this, it looks cool. It's pretty nice. It's real simple to do this. But now let's align it to the middle. So how we do that is go to select your, or actually select every other clip from the logo illustration, then the your, and then use the pick whip tool to parent it to the your just for a second, and then select the your. Then you search the Align tab. If you don't got this Align tab, you go up to Window and just hit the Align, toggle it on, then it will appear somewhere on the screen and you can just use it. And then hit this button and that button. Then we have the logo illustration perfectly in the middle. So then I could go ahead and select all those parts except for your, and let's fake it to none. So I want the channel maybe be a step ahead in the more in the middle like this. Now I think it's pretty cool. Then let's do is start to animate this. Now when we got the basic look, so go from your to the shape layers and hit Command Shift C or Control Shift C on your PC or Mac and call this just logo like this. So now whatever we do, we can control all the layers at the same time. So let's start animating this. So I want to create the same scale pop-up as in the previous, or actually the original example. So I want to go ahead and click S and go a few frames forward. I hit the scale keyframe, the clock here, so we're getting keyframes, the stopwatch, and then you go ahead and type 0% of scale. It will disappear, but don't matter. We'll fix this. We go a few frames forward and let's make it 120 this time, so it pops up a little bit bigger, and then a few frames, maybe a bit more, and this time 100 again, so it goes back down, so it goes like up down, up down. Okay, we could take it a little more apart so it's not that fast. That's pretty good. Let's work with that. So now when we have our first pop-up, don't worry, we will make it look cooler, but we'll make the first animation here, and then we go to around a bit of 2.5 seconds, and let's hit the scale up to 115%, so we can see it gets up and then it slowly comes up to the 115 when we go to 2.5 seconds. And why we're doing this? Because we are making the brain likes when something moves, and when you're creating motion graphics, that's a real good thing to keep in mind. So make something move just a little bit, a tiny movement, so the brain likes it a bit more. So I just moved the keyframe to 3.5 seconds from the 2.5. I want it to be a bit longer, a bit slower, like this. And then what we do is here we have basically our scale properties. This is our scale. Now let's play with the positioning because I want it to fly through the camera. So just before the 4 seconds here, I will go ahead and change to position and make this layer 3D by hitting this little cube button here. And then I will go for position here, hit the stopwatch, hit U on your keyboard so you can see all the keyframes on your that selected layer. And then I will go ahead and just for a few frames forward, I will you can see on position, you can see these numbers here, 960, 540 and 0. So the 0 is the Z space, so, or the blue arrow. So if I start moving the Z space up and down, you can see it coming closer and further away from the camera. So I will take it down so I get it to come closer to the camera till it passes the camera like this in minus 2685. So when we're coming closer, it just flies past us It's a bit fast. Let's make it like this. It looks pretty terrible at the moment, but we fix it like this. Then I go to that same keyframe where it started, hit R for rotation, and hit the stopwatch for Z rotation, because then it will rotate from like left and right, because Y rotation is like this, X rotation is like this, and you get the point. You can also experiment with that kind of rotations, but to recreate the intro I made, so we'll use the Z rotation, hit the U key so we can see all the keyframes, go to the last frame where it was active, the text of coming through the camera, get a few frames behind, and then start rotating it. I like this 44, 45, 44 degrees are pretty good, and then just drag it to the same position as the end of the camera's flying by. So now when we're looking, it's like it's rotating and coming through the camera. Okay, this looks already fine, but it doesn't look that smooth. It's really like jagged. We got the basic animation, but it's really jagged up. And let's make it a bit more nicer. So I want the comp to end here on the 5 seconds mark, so I can hit the letter N to trim the comp down there, and then I can just right click on this comp bar and go to trim comp to work area like this. So I can see now this is our 5 second intro, and let's make this a bit smoother, this animation in the beginning. So if we're watching this first scale, I want it to be a bit slower in the beginning and faster in the end. So I'll go ahead and select these two first keyframes, and then I go ahead and hit F9 or for easy ease, or you can just right click, go to keyframe assistant and easy ease, but you can also use the F9 shortcut like this, and that will make it look like time glasses. And what this should do is making like invisible keyframes for the text, getting a smoother beginning and a smoother end. So now if we just now look at what we have, it looks a bit smoother. But yes, now when we got these selected, let's hit this button, the graph editor, hit it, and we can see here our animation. Here's our animation, this little curve here, and I will show you how to smooth this up. So you can see this pick whip, and yeah, for the point, if you're not seeing this kind of stuff, you're seeing other or nothing, go to this eye, no, not the eye, this little paperclip, the graph type, and click here, edit speed graph, have it checked. I have actually not seen one single tutorial explaining why you're not seeing this, because when I was watching motion graphics tutorials a few years back, I want to learn to make them smooth, so I saw them using these curves, but I couldn't get them, I couldn't see them for myself. So here, just click the edit speed graph if you're not seeing it. So let's go back to the curve. So here we can see the curve. This is like a relevant constant smooth animation because the rounded edge. And then we go to the last keyframe and get this little yellow ball and drag it to the left like this. And now if we look, it gets a lot faster beginning and a slower end. You see it looks like it's popping up, really cool. I really like that. Okay, so let's go ahead away from the graph editor just by clicking the icon and go to the logo, hit U for all the keyframes. Then we go for the scale, or the position, I mean, here. And I will use now the F9 a shortcut here, so hit F9. But you can also do like you going right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, or go from the animation and so on. You get the point. Go to graph editor. Here you can see our animation. And why is it this much bigger than our beforehand animation? That's why, because we have this crazy 2600 value for the C space. That's why it's so much bigger. So select it. We could go ahead and select here, zoom in a bit with this tool or with this graph tool here, and then let's do the same thing. Just grab it and all the way to the left, so it goes really cool there. Yep, looks pretty cool. Let's take this last scale frame and make it also just easy ease. Let's make this also easy ease, just easy easing these keyframes. I could go for this, the rotation. The rotation, I don't need a significant slower end, faster end, you know, this kind of things we were doing for the position and scale, so I can just easy ease them with the F9. And now we are already having a lot nicer kind of animation around here. But we have one problem. You see, when the text is moving fast, we have no motion blur or anything that will blend it in like it would real happen. For example, if you now look away from the screen and you shake out your hand, you can see your eyes are detecting motion blur on your hand. And we are doing the same, we have to do the same thing for our text. We get to see some motion blur. Trust me, gonna look so much better. So how we get motion blur? It's real simple. I'm like, not kidding, simple. So just to show you how it works, so go to a place where a lot of motion, for example the scale here, this frame when it's scaling upwards. Then we go here on the logo layer, and you can see this little three balls is called motion blur, and let's click that and nothing happens. So don't worry, your After Effects is not broken. This is supposed to happen, but here's another motion blur button. If you click on that, that will activate motion blur for your whole composition. So when I click it, you can see already your text is getting motion blur. So if I click away, on and off, you can see the difference, right? So now we're leaving it off. I put on. Okay, it renders just a second. So now if I go to the beginning, see, it looks so much better when you got this nice scale with this motion blur. So when we're going through and we see it going through the camera, it will too have this motion blur. So it's not that so jagged up, you know, like this. Looks so much better. Oh, I really like this. Okay guys, so now we have animated our text, and yeah, it's pretty cool. We could do one more thing, one more optional thing we could do is to add a little flare. This is totally optional. I want to show you how to make a nice flare here, so it will brighten things up a bit and it will look a lot more professional, if you want to say, or if you will, whatnot. But as said, if you don't have, for example, what I will be using, the Video Copilot optical flares, if you don't have it, don't worry, this is not optional. I think just adds a little bit more special and character for this intro. So if you have it or something similar, tag along, I will show you how it's done. And you though who are not having it or having it yet, keep watching, you can learn something cool. So let's go ahead and create a new solid. It really doesn't matter what kind of color it is, but I will keep it black for them because we're gonna use the blending mode, so it works better if you're using a black solid. I will call this flare. And then I will scroll down on my effects and presets, go to Video Copilot and optical flares, drag it on, and I can see my optical flare here. Okay, then I will go to options. I will go to natural flares, and then I will search for a flare which looks really good. In the original example I used the air missile, but I will use the rim light because I think it looks really good. Click OK, and then I change the blending mode from normal to add to get away with the black, and then I will move it to the place where the sun is here. Take down the brightness just a tiny bit. We don't need that much of brightness. Okay, so now when we're having our lens flare there, I could use some realistic more flickering, so make it adjust automatically the brightness for that flare. So here, see in the options, the flicker menu, you can toggle down, and here's the speed and amount. I will put the speed around to something around 60 and the amount to 20. That will create it a bit to flicker, as you see here. It flickers a bit. If it's too much, then you can just go ahead and adjust it again. Take the brightness just a touch down. Let's make it 30 because I think it's a bit too bright, like this. And now when we're watching, it's flickering with a pretty high density of speed. Let's crank that down to 40, let's say like this. Yeah, let's make that amount also 10. Okay, now it's not too bad. Yes, that looks pretty cool. So yeah, I think this is pretty much it. I hope you guys have learned some new techniques of how to build intros. This is just one example, and yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah. Thanks for watching this tutorial. Hope you guys learned some new stuff. Try this out. Send me a link of your creation here below in the comment section, and I'd be more than glad to give you guys my opinions and feedback on your creation. Don't forget to be that cool guy who's going Jackie Chan style on that like button. Please also comment on this video and click on that button which says subscribe, and you will be joining with me the brotherhood of video effects here on PC Productions. That's all for today. VK signing out. Have a good one.